Day 303 of the Worldwide Megacrisis Hungerstrike, and this is my water jug that's leaking and I think causing me to be sick. I think some of the tape, glue, or whatever is getting into the water, causing my stomach to be upset. So personally, my personal update, I'm tired. I'm going to bed at like 2 or 3 in the morning because I'm pushing so hard, and the calories from eating after 28 days of not eating it just gives me like incredible amounts of energy because my body is so optimized for survival. Like this primal side of myself, like I'm so aware. It's in you too, but we've become numb. It's a really incredible waking up to the true amazingness of the human body with its flaws and everything. It's like you are a miracle. You are sacred, you guys. That's why we give you sacred time in God's government and the ideal wise government. So my eyes are burning a bit, but I feel awake and 10 out of 10 spiritual, like I say. But this water jug is annoying me. And this gets into sort of the, like last night I got onto the, one reason why I went to bed so late is because I'm trying to shop for a new one of these. And I'm trying to get a glass one. I don't like the plastic. But I'm using this app called Instacart in North America. It's owned by the largest hedge funds in the world. Just a bunch of rich people putting the money together, and then they hedge their bets by diversifying and making money off of money. Basically, all the people doing the work, they sort of sit there and they parasite off the ideas and stuff like that, and they stay perpetually ahead, and they give services on that, on financial and all that. And in some sense, that's a necessary sort of service if you do it right, but it's not happening right. It's happening in a wealth concentration, in a kind of enslavement. And that's why God's government globally will be managing that process, because ideas are really the root of all value. They compress time and the self is time, and they change the relationships of things. And there's studies in contemporary economics that show this and prove it. So I'm taking this Instacart to town because they're using these apps to manipulate, right? And who would have thought, like, I can get into a lawsuit now with the largest, most powerful businessmen and women in the world from this little basement here, because I know how to file lawsuits and things like that now, because I've been in the courthouse for 2 years, right? And I sued 112 government agents, so I'm not even having a normal experience. I'm taking on the government, and the government has all these resources, right? So they hired 7 law firms to take me down. And now I'm suing the Attorney General's office after they just destroyed me in court in a completely abusive way. It's an abusive process. That there's laws in the Alberta Rules of Court that the courts have to follow that protect the public from exactly what happened to me. And that's why I'm taking the Attorney General, who is the one that advises and designs the court system with the Minister of Justice here, and showing the unconstitutionality. But I'm also going to take these big law firms to town, not because I know how to file the lawsuit, but because I've been tracking my experience of the app, just like I did with Uber when I was being exploited by that delivery company for 3 years. I was trying to build my own software, and I was mapping out and figuring out algorithms. And because I'm pretty in tune to detail, I started noticing patterns. So I started tracking the deliveries, and we figured out how the algorithm was exploiting people. They were using artificial intelligence to use 3 variables to manipulate you to think that you were gaining when you weren't gaining anything. They were gaining. You were actually working for less by the end of it. But it's happening in such a clever manner that you don't notice it right away. I can notice it right away. And I have a subconscious recognition system now. I start to feel sick when something starts to manipulate me like that. And I started feeling that way when I was ordering food. I would order stuff and I would come away spending like 20% more than I planned. And I'm calculating in my head, and I'm making my own menus and my own shopping lists and my own price lists. And I'm even using AI to price compare. And it's still happening. And I thought there's something wrong here. And sure enough, when I looked up who owns this little delivery app, oh, guess what? It's the largest firms in human history, trillions of dollars. These really wealthy, smart, talented, gifted people are using this tiny little app. Why? And paying attention to it. Why? Because it is a gold mine. Because as long as they can see into how you're purchasing, it's an invasion of privacy. and they can use that to read your mind, basically, not telepathically, but looking at your trends. They have enough data to triangulate and correlate what connects in the marketplace, and they can predict what you're going to do with 95% accuracy based off of previous purchasing history and what everybody else is purchasing and what's in the network in your area. They have like a bird's eye view, and they're sort of coming down and picking the worms, but you can't see them. And they're using AI, and it's getting out of control because not even they can control it. It is incredibly manipulative. And if you try and do the pricing and all that, they just gave me a $40 voucher to say, if you buy by this date, they're trying to get me to buy within a time frame so they can keep it predictable, so they can increase their quarterly profits, right? Oh, buy by this time. You get $40 off. Okay, that sounds great. And you're going to go, but you have to spend $100. Oh, that's where they get you. Right? Because you weren't planning to spend $100, but now they're putting you in a trap. They're using this torturous sort of paradox of choice, and they're making you think you're going to win. They're giving you FOMO. I have to do it by this time. I don't want to miss out. They're using hundreds of cognitive biases, and Uber did the same thing. It's disgusting. It's manipulative. It's horrifying, and it's an enslavement. It's not just them it's literally violating these spiritual development that comes with labor. Labor is supposed to be a self-actualization process. It's you reflecting on who you are through what you're doing, and you see it back to yourself. And then you can internalize that, right? But what they do is they say, here's your voucher, here's what you have to spend. When you go into the app, they don't tell you what the previous prices were. So if they mark up everything by 2% and you buy $100 worth, you're actually spending $40, maybe even $50 to get that $40 voucher. So you're actually buying exactly the same, but you're on their schedule now. So they're gaining because they're getting predictability, which allows them to make other stable profit motives off of you. Because they can't predict what's going on. They can't build on it to make more exploitation, right? So even though you might pay the same price as the voucher, right, they don't lose anything to gain more information about you. And then here's the real scary part, is that they actually might be gaining an extra profit. So you might actually be paying more if you buy in this time range than if you would just bought normally without them predicting you. Right? That's what's happening. And the stores are telling me, yeah, they're marking up the prices. These aren't our prices in our store. This is them adding on top and manipulating a whole bunch of things. And there's items that aren't even there in the stores. They're using the items because they know that you want it, and they'll lead you to go and buy from certain places you would never otherwise buy from that are less ethical. And then you go there and you spend, okay, well, if I have to pay 2 delivery fees, then I might as well maximize it by spending a little bit more instead of having to do it later. So you start trying to optimize, but you're playing into what they want you to do because they've already predicted all your options. So if you're smart, even if you're smart or why, you're going to do this, but they've already predicted it. And they're still going to maximize their profit off of you in a dead way. Wealth concentration is already at all-time highs. All right, so we got to stop this by proper regulation that's exposing this cleverness. It's not wisdom, it's cleverness. And cleverness is different from wisdom. It can be manipulative and exploitive. So I'm going to I've been tracking all these things happening to me. And they said, okay, fine, you win. They're like, we can only give you $5 maximum if there's a mistake. And you got to tell us within 3 days. And I said, no. And I said, I want to talk to your legal departments and all this. And then finally, this person said, I said, this is disgusting. This is so manipulative. It's disgusting. And she said, okay. And they said, okay, we'll give you $42. So they broke their own rule. It's complete manipulation. So I said, okay. They said, we'll send you an email on 42. I said, I want the whole thing refunded. So they said they're going to send me an email anyway about it, and they'll give me the $42 back. So I'm waiting for that. Week goes by, and I'm noticing it's not there. So I call back in. I said, hey, where's the $42? Oh, you didn't report it before the 3 days. I said, so you guys screwed me over 3 times, well, actually technically 6 times, and manipulated me with an offer that disappeared. They said that I would get another $15 off. And so I went and I had to spend another $84, which I went and did, and then it disappeared. And then when I checked out my order, it didn't apply it. So I said, okay, it totally manipulated me. So, okay, we'll refund you for that. But now it's been 7 days and all that stuff doesn't apply anymore. I said, yeah, but you guys told me you were going to do that. You didn't send the emails. You didn't. Yeah, but you were supposed to. I said, so, okay, so you screwed me like 6 times and then you screwed me again and you're blaming me. I said, this is unbelievably absurd. I said, why don't you guys do your jobs properly? And they got it. And I said, this is disgusting. Like, I used that word. I said, you guys, there's nothing wrong with you, the people, but the process you're a part of is disgusting. You separate the behavior from the identity, or else people internalize it as self-worth. So I try and separate the behavior and say, stop doing this disgusting thing. This is a disgusting behavior. You're not a disgusting person. And disgust is one of the strongest disapproval emotions of human beings. And that's why I used it there, is because it has moved further than just absurdity. It's gone into some kind of intentional ignorance of bizarre proportions that is insulting me and insults the entire buying community, the ethical purchasers. So, and you know what? That guy came back and said, you're right, let me fix it. And after another half an hour, I said, okay, I want the money sent to the app so I can spend it right away with the other credits that they gave me, because I was screwed over again. The cucumbers were all like mashed. I'm like, the products are damaged too. So he comes back, says, Kate, we did it. I said, awesome. I went and looked it up. Okay, the money's not there. I can't spend it. Yeah, we sent it to your MasterCard. I said, why did you do that? It takes 7 days to 14 days for them to refund it to the MasterCard, so I can't use it now. And they said, oh, well, we can't do anything else. So I said, you made another mistake. Mistake. Why didn't you clear it past me if you didn't understand? I said, there's $11 on the app. I want the money to go where that $11 is. I literally gave them specific instructions, and they still ignored it. It's dehumanizing. And if you don't stand up, our consumer power to balance that supply power is going to continue eroding until you're a slave and you have no buying power or a buy say at all. These consumers' protections don't even exist. And wealth concentration is leading us there. So anyway, I guess this is sort of me saying be careful. And now I'm mapping it out. I'm building a lawsuit against them if they don't stop doing what they're doing. And it's big. There's other social justice initiatives that have caught on to this. But all right. I should do a core update and an emergency core and then the Wi-Fi. We're supposed to be doing the mega crisis, right? The core is One World Spirit. Core starts with time compression through clarity on ego wisdom. The problem is the mega crisis. The solution is the 2 sacred sentences, and the implementation is flow, rolls, and flocks. We covered CRISPR last time, which is genetic editing. This time we're supposed to cover World War III. It's pretty obvious, right? All the emergency core updates, all the news is about things escalating in Iran and the Middle East. And NATO, the European nations, are not coming to Trump's aid. So there's a whole fracturing there because he's trying to fight China, who's rising up. And they're in an AI war. And they're using AI to attack each other. It's extreme. We're in World War III. The doomsday clock is 85 seconds to midnight. It's the closest it's ever been. And they're ramping up the AIs to be even more powerful. Jeff Bezos is raising $100 billion for his Prometheus AI program. $100 billion. To solve world hunger for a year is, I think, $60 billion. These businesses are so powerful transnationally that they have more than entire countries' GDPs. We need a God's government. We need a global governance so that these people can learn universal diplomacy, solve the 200 fragmentations that are causing this geopolitical conflict, and allowing these transnational corporations to dodge all these national laws and exploit people with apps like Instagram and Uber. Because if your country puts up a fuss, they'll say, okay, we're pulling your country, and then all these other countries will get more GDP or whatever is coming with the service and the ideas. And you'll fall behind and you'll become even more enslaved. So we need a global governance, not just the United Nations, which is not a government. They haven't united militaries. It's a volunteer organization, which is why it's not able to do anything, right? We're building God's government. Whether we inspire others or we use fair world spirit. You can't do foreign interference, so there's like a national version called New World Spirit. But all these legal distinctions I learned from the courthouse too. So this is a true non-naive initiative to build something very quickly. And we have a critical mass seed, an approach that can generate a lot of sustainable team building and culture building and societal building that very, very quickly. Like we're talking within 28 days. But it requires extreme cultural competence, which we're providing with universal logic, because that's the ultimate solution, because it solves the heart of the problem, being fragmented consciousness, right? Okay, the wifey, as you guys know, the wifey slogan, if she's too hardcore for everybody else, she's just right for the Messiah. She's a queen. She's a Messiah too, because she wakes up and she wants to help people. That's just innate, and she's willing to risk her life for that, because she knows there's a deeper life, a deeper meaning than to just being biologically alive and being a zombie or being numb or depressed like this current culture is making us. That's why we're fragmenting in our relationships and feeling lonely despite being hyper-connected. The connection is external. It's not that internal, fulfilling kind. Okay? That's what she's like, and she's vegan. She does it for animals too. We don't need to eat animals. Our bodies are built for plants, like I said. And she gets that. She's wise. She's not just intelligent. She's wise. And she's probably pretty sexy because she takes care of her body and didn't give into all of this ultra-processed food. So, she's very resilient and is grateful, appreciative, wants to have kids, or wants to adopt kids too, and is an old soul. Okay, so that's what I'll say about her. And we're going to try and find you your partners too, because there's a huge population crisis. Nobody's connecting because these apps are exploiting us. There's like no organic connections anymore because you got to pay the ad agencies. They're being reserved for the advertisements on Meta and Facebook and TikTok, right? So all the people you would normally meet in your life, you're not meeting them anymore because they're all being reserved and hoarded by these algorithms. It's disgusting what's happening to us. Okay? What's happening with Instacart is happening with these dating apps. Ugh. God's government will have a version of this, but it's to actually help us and make flow states for all. All right? Okay. Peace. See you tomorrow.